my fuel gauge, which is blinking at me. I'm going to look pretty silly if I run out of gas here, but hopefully I do not. It's Dylan from Throttle Company in Columbus, Ohio, and today we're doing an episode of In the Loop on the brand new Royal Enfield Bullet 350. So, I first saw this bike in India. I was very fortunate. We won a trip for selling the most scrams to India with Royal Enfield. So we saw the factory where this engine is made and these bikes, and it's impressive. It's amazing. It's stunning. It's basically the size of a football field. They start with nothing and ride a bike off the end, and I think there's like one every couple of minutes. The stats are pretty shocking, but this bike was one of them. I have a video so far that's called First Look or Second Look because I saw them in India, and check that out if you want to see more of the details. But classic styling, hand painted stripes, very classic looking badges for this bike. Excuse the noise, I don't know if there's an alarm happening in the background, maybe you can hear it. But this is how they look. Very retro, wire wheels, all the little accents, the little headlight eyebrow, the gauges. We'll see all that. This video is not necessarily about how it looks, even though it's gorgeous and it's hard to ignore. It's about how it rides. What's it like to ride the Bullet 350? And so we're going to do my test ride route here at Throttle Company. If you take a test ride, this is the same route you go on. I hope we have enough gas because I just started this up. I have to get gas, but I won't burden you with it. Oh, there we go, we're blinking. I hope you can pick up some of that exhaust note. Alright, so if you're familiar with the classic 350, or the Bullet 500s of the past in America, we never got the 350 before this. The Bullet 350, that is. Classic 350 is new, but before that we basically had the Classic 500. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing, I'm sure it was, but basically they only make the 350 now. In India and other countries, they were making the Bullet 350 and the Classic 350 and only sending us the 500. We got golden hour here, so hope you're in for some beautiful views. So I'm imagining this is going to ride very similar to the Classic 350. We actually don't have a demo bike for this. We made that decision because we thought they would ride so similarly. So we'll see if I regret that and second guess that decision on this test ride. This is part of the PDI process. We call that pre-delivery inspection, and that delivery is to you, the customer. So I've already done everything but the test ride, and the test ride is the last step. You can see we have 0.3 miles, probably as much as we've gone so far. It's kind of interesting. Sometimes people say I bought a bike with 0.1 miles. I think, well, that means they didn't test ride it. So, I mean, at the dealership. So I think that you want the test ride. Some people get all hung up on now it's not a brand new bike and etc. Makes no sense to me. I'm a certified mechanic. I have taken the course with Royal Enfield. I'm an expert on these motorcycles. You want me to ride it and make sure the brakes are working, make sure the engine sounds right, make sure the clutch is performing properly, turn signals, brake lights, horn, all that stuff that I check. You want me to check all that stuff before I give it to you. You want to make sure it's safe. And especially if you're a new rider or if you're new to the brand, you maybe don't know how things are supposed to be. And those are the problems that we run into online. People will say, hey, my brakes feel really spongy. Is that normal? I think, well, I don't want you to be questioning that. I don't want you to buy this bike, go home and go, is the clutch normal? Yes. The way you got it, the day you bought it, I'm certifying it's correct. So I ride the same route every time, pretty much every time, unless there's something preventing me. And I find that really is a benefit. Sometimes in the turns I'll notice the tire pressure feels a little weird, or the brakes feel funny, or the rear brake could be better. It's not common, but it happens sometimes, and I think it's the easiest way to catch it is by riding the exact same route every time. Anyway, enough about the route. The ride. It's sit up and beg, as Jay Leno would say, and as the British used to say. So my chest is very straight upright. It's like I'm sitting properly in a chair. My handlebar controls are kind of low. You know, my hand is straight out kind of from my hips. It's a very classic, very like 60s, 70s riding position, and it fits the bike perfectly. It does give you a lot of confidence. If you're only used to riding modern bikes, or certainly if you're used to riding cruisers, it may feel a bit too upright, but most people, I think, wind up preferring this, especially beginners. Beginners do not like to have their feet forward, I've noticed, and this is not that at all. My feet are a little over 90, so smaller than 90-degree angle, and it winds up being very comfortable. I can reach all the controls perfectly, exactly where I'd expect them to be. Now here's something. In the US, the shifter is just a toe shifter. In other countries I know, especially in India, they have heel toe shifter. That is an option if you prefer it. I actually really like it, but on a bike like this, I don't think it's necessary. On a cruiser where my feet are forward, I do really like to have heel toe shifter. Again, it's not necessary. It's just one of those things that's nice to have, I think. Some people hate them, but just know that it's an option here in America and not standard equipment like it might be some other places in the world if you've seen photos of it. That guy pulled out a little too far on me, and I forgot what gear I was in. So we're in second now. We have no tack on this bike. We just have the speedometer. You can see that I need gas, and hopefully that does not become imminent on this ride. I put about a gallon in, as is the procedure, before I go and get gas for the customer. This bike is almost sold. It's sort of reserved, not quite sold. But that's why I'm riding it and getting ready. Like I said, we don't have a demo bike. So I'm making sure when he picks this bike up tomorrow, everything is right. And so far, it's great. I love the mirrors. Some people think they look dorky. You could put a bar-end mirror. I have a bike in the shop, a classic 350. Put bar-end mirrors. Royal Enfield sells some. You can get aftermarket. And that's pretty cool. Very classic looking and cleans up your handlebars. Makes a big difference visually when you're sitting on the bike. But these mirrors work really well, and they're definitely good for a newer rider. You can see a lot behind you, which is great. Simple dash. I got that eco light that just came on. I have my my fuel gauge, which is blinking at me. I'm going to look pretty silly if I run out of gas here, but hopefully I do not. Feels great in the turns, handles great. This is a very easy to ride bike, very easy to ride slow speed. This bike has around 20-25 horsepower. A lot of people think they want the 500, which is the bike we used to have. And that really had about 27 horsepower, so you're not missing much. Let's give it a little bit of a, nothing crazy because it's so new, but let's get her going, get them through the gears. We have 5 gears. 5th gear on a bike like this and any of the other bikes that share this engine and transmission, which are all of the 350s currently from Royal Enfield, called the J platform, they all have 5 speeds, and 5th gear is overdrive. So if you're really trying to get as many miles per hour as you possibly can, accelerate as fast as possible, don't shift into 5th yet. That's more your cruising gear. And you can tell that a lot. I think we're in 5th now. Yep. When I back off, I go to eco mode, and it tells me that I'm riding economically, which is good, because like I said, I'm almost out of gas. So 50 miles an hour, nothing was a struggle there. This bike was not really hurting to get up that fast. I have had one of the other bikes with this same engine, same platform, up to 74 miles an hour, and I could tell you there is a speed limiter there. I guess I don't know that for sure. That is yet to be determined if the Bullet comes with it. The Hunter doesn't, and it's mostly the same bike. So the Classic and the Meteor, top speed limited at 74 miles an hour. I'm going to get going here. But the Hunter is not for some reason. Easy to ride, easy to shift, clutch is nice and light. It's a 350, and honestly, it has a lot of pep for a 350. The first bike with this engine from Royal Enfield was the 350 Meteor, and before it came here, I was a little worried. 350, is that too small for American roads? I don't know. And I've been pleasantly surprised. And here's where I put all of the genius, all of the engineering knowledge for Royal Enfield. I think it's in the transmission. I mean, I think their engine is extremely underbuilt, or overbuilt, sorry, and understressed. And that's good for longevity, good for reliability. And these have been very reliable engines. And then the transmission is where the magic happens. So you can have this off-the-line power, you have around-town pep, but you also, Indians especially, I don't know if this is for the Indian market, but they sell about 50,000 of these a month in India, and 350s that is, and they care a lot about fuel efficiency, fuel mileage, or kilometers, as they would say. So that is a big, important part of this, and I think they really nailed it with the gearing, at least on those other bikes, and this bike feels exactly the same. The pep off the line, you're not sacrificing any of the range, mid-range, top end. You definitely do, I mean, you have more power. If you're going in fourth gear, and you hit 74, you definitely could go faster. You can feel that the engine is stopping you. Basically, I think the ignition just cuts out and you can kind of feel it happen. But city bike, yes, this is built for cities, American streets. The seat is extremely comfortable, much more comfortable, I would say, than the classic 350, which is, this bike is very similar. If you're looking at this, you're probably also considering the classic 350. So there's one in the column for the Bullet. The seat feels very cushy, very nice and comfortable. And that being a single seat that kind of covers both passenger and pillion is nice, so there's no like dividing line. I can slide back a little bit and not be all off the seat completely. So that's pretty nice. It would be easy to pack up with stuff. I could just put stuff kind of on the back and strap it down. That would be nice. Country roads is another thing that this bike is just going to excel at. We're not doing that now. We did a little bit of that, I guess, the kind of 90-degree turns on the loop. And it was great. It handles really well. It takes slow-speed turns really well. It makes it very enjoyable. That's what's nice about this is they always talk about pure motorcycling and sort of just getting everything out of your way. There's Tony. He'll sell this bike to you. Well, not this one. Like I said, it's sort of called, it's got dibs. So something I did mention in my first look, second look, is you can swap this out for a tripper if you want. That is a cool thing that people have been doing. Hey, we made it. We didn't run out of gas. And this bike definitely passes. I'm going to check the oil here. I'm going to put on the center stand. We have a center stand. And just the finishes, hopefully that comes across on video. Gloss here, hand-painted stripes here. You can see videos online. I've witnessed it in person, people hand-painting these stripes. And then the matte black here, the badges, you can see how three-dimensional they are from here. Very cool. All of this stuff at this point is tried and true. This is something that someone from India pointed out on one of my earlier YouTube videos. They said, because the Bullet is such an iconic motorcycle for Royal Enfield, they wanted to make sure they nailed the platform. They had the engine quirks worked out. If there were any issues, they could handle them ahead of time. Brakes, clutch, all these controls. They wanted to make sure they really nailed those before they started to replace their iconic brand, which has basically been in production since the 50s. And there are even earlier versions of that bike, and we have a Crusader in there that is very similar to those early. There's 250 Bullets at that point. Well, anyway, and they really nailed it. So at this point in time, it's the last one to come out. They were that confident in the platform at this point. It comes with a 3-year warranty, 3 years of roadside assistance. We almost never do warranty stuff. If we do, it's something small. There was an issue with the speedometers early on. They got that sorted out. It's a very simple thing to replace. It looks like it might be hard to get into, but actually, you take the headlight off and it's just one bolt, pop it out, put a new one in. No problem. Now you're back to 0 miles. This is what the horn sounds like. Very Roadrunner-esque. Anyway, come take a test ride in the Classic, sit on this one, decide if you want it. There's not a lot of these. I don't think that Royal Enfield North America was betting on a lot of people wanting these. So I think we're going to have limited supplies. We bought a bunch in the beginning, but you never know what's going to happen. Riding season is, I mean, it's 70 degrees today, so riding season is already here. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.